want to go. time. He does this every day, man.
Why are you unbanning him? Just keep
I don't
unbanning,
know,
like,
bro. Man.
Go. One more to go.
Welcome everybody to the Onward VR Master League Season 12 Week 11 Venues Showcase. My name is Nightfire with 2 E's, and if you're tuning in here today, you're here to catch some Onward high-tier EU action. For those that maybe don't know what Onward is, it's a 5 versus 5 military simulator. One team, the attacking team Marsoc, attacks the objective. The defending team Volk defends the objective. If the attacking team successfully enters a 7-digit code within a certain radius of the objective, they get 2 points. Otherwise, you're trying to kill the opposing team to secure 1 point. Best of 7, and we play 3 best of 7, so 3 total maps getting played out here this afternoon. Looking at the scoreboard beneath me, we have 2 bans apiece, a ban for each team. The home team gets to ban the first map, the away team bans the second map. There is a select map pool that rotates throughout the course of a season, and that is what these bans are based off of. Coming in from the newbies, we have a Abandon ban, and over from Silent Purge, a Snow Peak ban. Abandon and Snow Peak, 2 very long-range maps getting called out from the selection. And the first map getting picked by the newbies, as they are the home team, is going to be Bazaar, which is where we will kick off the start of this matchup. And for those that maybe are familiar, the newbies and the Silent Purge, teams that have been in the league since at least Season 8, the newbies trying to climb up the EU ladder, breaking up into the top 10, and now going up against a team that has a lot of experience playing up against very good teams. They are no stranger to being in the top 10 worldwide, and currently they are placed 9th worldwide. So when we talk about the grand scheme of the league, we have prizes that are sponsored by our prizes that are given to by our sponsors, which you see ticking across the screen just over there. That prize pool is now $7,000 plus in cash and hardware. And so at the end of the season, the top 8 teams in that ladder duke out in a postseason tournament. The top 3 teams come out with a chunk of that prize pool. And so that's what ultimately these teams are competing for. They're trying to get as high as they possibly can in the regular season ladder by winning series. If you win a series, you go up in rank. If you lose, you go down in rank. It's really that simple. There's obviously a little bit more behind it, whereas the total rounds won in a series matter. But we don't really get to that until the end of the series, until we're into that map 3. It looks like, from the lobby being full, that we are ready to get into the action. The newbies on the attack. They'll be starting with Mr. Shrimp, Section 1, Short Undead, McGlockson, Jason. And over on Silent Purge, we have Don Patron, Matt Outdoors, Sri Lankan, Hoochie UK, and Malno, the usual suspects for both sides. It looks like both teams are now ready to go as we dive into round number 1 on map 1, Bazaar. The newbies on the attack, Silent Purge again on the defense. An interesting commitment to go over to this west side when they get the opposite spawn. Clearly looking to try and take control of the south street. If they can cross here, they can push down into that south street and try and push up from the south side, using those buildings as cover, the alleyways as cover. Some may consider this to be a little bit overcautious. On this objective, you can technically be on this street within the first 30 seconds, depending on where you spawn. Interestingly enough, looks like there are a few elements of the Silent Purge defense ready for an attack down into the south. You have Sri Lankan holding through the window, checking several different angles. They may actually catch 1 or 2 here soon enough if McGlocks or Mr. Shrimp aren't careful when they peek these corners.
Sent a Bazaar, I think I missed him.
Poochie taking a very tight slice from the 2-story. Oh, actually, they've dropped off the 2-story and standing on the boxes. That's right. That's how you take the angle. You move up to the 2-story, you drop down onto the boxes, and then you have this line of sight just over the top, a very small slice, and you can. It's good coverage all the way down into a pretty standard approach lane. Oh, well, we came over to the east, but Matt is over here. Sri Lankan still holding their far south side, and the newbies really haven't moved up much from their initial setup positions that they got into once they crossed that street. Still sort of waiting to see if anyone from Silent Purge is on a rotation or pushing up. And then this objective in particular, I feel is kind of hard to find early picks on offense. A lot of the defensive lines end up being late angles. Sri Lankan is probably one of the few kills you can get early if you're on the offense. Otherwise, everyone else pretty tight around objective. Mad Outdoors over in the east, if they continue to push out, that could potentially lead to another kill. Section 1 seems to be dialed in over onto that side to make sure that doesn't happen. Actually, I have several different lines there. Short Undead also watching from the 2-story. Both these positions set up to defend from any aggression from Matt Outdoors, but Matt's not going to really deploy any. Shrimp is able to work past Hoochie's line of sight, and I mean, quite the position to be in this far forward here. Sri Lankan does finally come alive there out the window, catches 1 kill. Section 1 going to try and advance forward. They have to watch out for Hoochie, who has relocated. Mr. Shrimp may be able to find Hoochie unexpected out the window here.
-1, their objective.
Sri Lankan catches another. I wonder if Mr. Shrimp, like, trying to cap undetected or something. Takes 1 shot there. Don able to fly the corner. Catches the corner of Mr. Shrimp there just as they try and rotate out. And now Short Undead is alone in a 1v4 effort here, especially now no res options. A locked in 1v4. There it is. Silent Purge. Lock in a solid defensive round. And I would say that on this objective in particular, it does lend itself to the defense. You know, there's a lot of theory crafting, I suppose, a lot of discussion to be had amongst the player base around what objectives favor what side. Some people argue entire maps favor certain sides, but the general consensus is that on defense, you have a advantage. Unless the objective is uniquely placed in that it's very hard to properly defend. You really just have to let the offense come to you. Now, of course, there's all sorts of back and forth in terms of high-tier strategy where sometimes, depending on the team, they can be stronger on offense because they've become really effective at utilizing their utility, their flashbangs, their smoke grenades. They're very good at disrupting defensive setups so that they can, you know, find kills and get the caps. It's really a constant battle of rock, paper, scissors amongst teams to try and pick maps, pick, you know, I guess you can't pick objectives, but pick maps, pick the side, and, you know, kind of hope that you get yourselves objectives that fall into your advantage. Now, Silent Purge starting on defense can be also an advantage. Some consider that to be considered, you know, if we were to have trade rounds back and forth, we would come down to a round 7 where Silent Purge would be starting on defense. Of course, again, this comes back to where the objective is to really determine if they have a defensive advantage. But an interesting bit of nuance and discussion that goes on when you consider the Volk and Marsoc sides. And I was talking about a bit of a faster approach that can come out from the offense. I think Silent Purge are going to get that faster spawn. We had a bit of a false start there, as maybe one player wasn't ready, but it did look like they were going to spawn a little bit closer to that objective side. And even the spawns of the Marsoc team can change drastically a Volk advantage on a particular objective. For each objective, there is a variety of spawns that the Marsoc team can spawn into. It is random. Both the defense and the offense do not know where they will be spawning in. And I say that meaning that the defense spot is spawned in a single space, but the offensive team is a random spawn point. And so only until Marsoc is spawned in do they know, oh, this is where we are, this is where we're attacking from. And even then, on defense, you have to kind of figure out where a enemy team spawned in so that you have an idea of where the bulk of the approach can be expected to come from. We'll have to see what we get here as we go back into the action. I've rambled on enough about the theories of Onward.
Can you key your mics?
It's now practicality to go into round 2.
And this is an easy 1 or 2 picks if they do cross.
7004.
You gotta keep your gun up. Keep your gun up, Maddie, okay?
Yep.
Maddie, come with me. Keep your gun up. I'm gonna try and get right to that wall. He's gonna be on the wall too. Don, did anybody go south? Did anybody go south, Don?
Here's some good comms here from the Silent Purge squad.
Okay, careful,
Something that is
careful.
required at a high level, and we haven't talked much about, but we're only 2 rounds in. Communication,
move
a
up,
vital
push this.
element of a good team. You have to be able to communicate. Having a leader as well is a big element in a solid
Okay,
team. A
I
leader
know,
that
Don,
can
I'm gonna
properly
smoke this fucking
orchestrate.
barricade. I don't need the fucking play-by-play.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know where I'm going. That's all.
Okay, Don, don't worry. We're not new.
And maybe a little bit of
kill those guys. I don't
over
have
communication
fucking guns to kill them,
as smokes come out here from Silent Purge. They're going to try and push up through the smoke, but there's not enough coverage there. Shrimp
Back right corner. Okay, Donnie, you gotta take out that
has a line. They don't have a good smoke coverage here. Wow, that body, very different position for Sri Lankan, able to scoop up Matt outdoors. And they've pushed past the smoke on objective now. Sri Lankan finds 1 kill. Glock still staying tucked in and waiting for the ultimate commitment to the objective as Sri Lankan does push out and finds a couple of bullets to the back. Matt still here, hears the shots, and should be able to react without a smoke and swings onto McGlock, but there's a trade. Objective is smoke. Don hits from the backside. Silent Purge picking apart the newbies' defense here is now short undead alone in a 1v3, but is on objective, so can defend. The trouble is not sure if a cap's coming in. They're putting Spire through the smoke. The flank not coming in from Don, so short here in a moment, competing into a 1v1. Hoochie also approaching. Still no flank coming in. But short undead out in the open right now. More utility comes in. Dawn now coming in from that flank side. Going to be tough for Short to deal with all these potential angles, but they are in a seemingly pretty good position. Dawn can't see Short here. Hoochie hasn't identified them. Malno still hasn't spotted him out until finally there comes the kill. And so, oh, a team kill actually over the top as well. So there was a 1v1 opportunity there for a second, but hey, the kill's the kill, and Silent Purge take the round. They go up 2-0, but just barely, as that bulk round almost held tight by the defense. A nice play from the Silent Purge team. The smoke application certainly doing wonders. You did see a bit of what appeared to be a red Matt just popping up out of nowhere, but what often happens, it's worth explaining, is that what we see on the spectate client is not necessarily the exact same thing that the player sees in game. And so while we may see the body of Matt, for example, on one side of the street, Sri Lankan could see that same body on the other side of the street, and essentially that's what happened. They resurrected Matt where they saw the body, and you saw Matt pop up in the vicinity of where they went down and then get into the smoke. It seemed like Matt just, on our screen, revived out of nowhere, but something that can happen in the game, and so that is what happened. Sri Lankan doesn't have some sort of revive gun that he shot Matt with from a distance. And again, a quick shout out to everyone that is tuning in, whether you are on Twitch over at twitch.tv/VRMasterLeague or Meta on our VR Master League Facebook page, or over on YouTube or Horizon Venues. We really do appreciate you all hanging out and catching the VRML action. A reminder that EU Echo Arena, NA technically, but NA Echo Arena VRML action is going to be here on Venues later today. I'm not sure on the exact time, but if you were following VRML on Twitter, you would have known exactly when the games are going live. And if you're following me at the Nightfire on Twitter, you'd also know.
You've got to be careful of the blue area, though.
Into the action we go, though. Round number 3 kicks off. For those that don't know, every two rounds we swap objectives. We swap sides every round, and that is the game of Onward. Again, a best of 7, or best of 5. No, best of 5. Hoochie finds a kill.
Udine.
Already, Mr. Shrimp going down, trying to
Definitely one. The other one might be revivable.
push down. Hoochie thinks they've gotten 2, but McGlocks was able to swing the corner.
One crossing the
catches
street.
one on
One
the
crossing the
cross.
street west of Bazaar in the far end. Right across the 2-story on the west. On the
Take a look at the overhead to get an idea of what this approach is looking like from this newbie squad. But not a lot of movement out of the newbie squad here, as again they're already down 4v5, and they're just trying to figure out where this defense could be. Malno almost connects, does connect onto Jason in the distance, and they may be getting aggressive off of this kill as Silent Purge continue to be successful on their rounds and continue to add points onto their lead here. It's getting a little bit more comfortable. I think that what they were doing there was just confirming that they had the kill, and even now as these shots come down range, sometimes it's hard to tell if a player is downed and resable or fully dead. It's actually impossible to tell unless you hear that person communicating. And so now, no, just putting some extra rounds down range into that downed body to make sure that nobody can resurrect it, because if you do shoot a downed body, then you do confirm the kill. Oftentimes the terminology you heard used. I mean, in classic Onward fashion, as if in synchronization, Section 1 popping up, Hoochie peeking. As soon as Section 1 pops back down, Hoochie unpeaks from the angle. I mean, it's just, it really doesn't get better on the Onward timing here. These two playing a game of cat and mouse. It is all a matter of timing. And Hoochie doesn't seem prone to want to make that peek a second time. Short undead goes down to Dawn in the corner. Solid pickup there, and that is the south approach gone. Losing one in the north, it leaves it all to Section 1. Just finally catch out Hoochie and McGlocks. And off of that successful kill. Section 1 is not going to stick around. They're going to rotate over to their teammate who is in that northeast bazaar. Sri Lankan, Matt, and Don all here ready and waiting. Interestingly enough, there seems to be... Oh, there's a bit of a gap here, although I do see Sri Lankan is holding this street, so if they do try and cross out, Sri Lanka actually does have an angle onto McGlocks. It is a pretty good setup, as Sri Lankan also can hear footsteps from Section 1 eventually, and will be able to radio in that information to either Matt or Don, or just keep it to themselves and try and find the kill. Either way, McGlocks is not going to find an easy approach here onto Sri Lankan, and it seems that Matt has heard these footsteps themselves as they are pushed up to the corner now, looking for Section 1, and they find them.
Another one down.
Through a small gap between the trees. Now all up to Glocks in a 1v4. Silent Purge looking to take this one. Go up 3-0 right here. Worth also mentioning, this is the newbies map pick, as they are the home team. They get first map choice. Oh, and McGlocks does check that corner, but there's a small pillar denying them vision onto Sri Lankan's position, and it's not until Sri Lankan peeks out from the corner that they find the kill. Silent Purge have themselves a comfortable lead. They go up 3-0. It is worth mentioning that when you look at the VRML website, you can vote on who you think is going to be the champion of a series. That vote is tracked and tabulated, and it's called the Connoisseur voting system. In that, if you have, well, you have to have a VRML profile, but on that profile, it tracks how accurate you are on predicting which map is going to be, or which series is going to be a win and a loss for which team. So in this case, when you do look at the votes placed on the series, it is one of the more lopsided votes I've seen. 43-1 in favor of Silent Purge. I don't know who the one individual is that's put faith in the newbies to come out on top here, but kind of goes to show you the where the community's opinion lies on who they think is going to come out on top of this one. I guess if anything here to outline what maybe you weren't aware of is that the newbies are the underdogs in this series. While they are somewhat close in rank, they are separated by a decent amount of MMR, I believe. And so Silent Purge, again, had a lot of experience playing teams that have been in the top 5 worldwide. Teams like Beginners and Boss Fight and other EU's teams. But
that's fine. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, watch for the cross, yeah.
the newbies, I don't know necessarily have that experience. Although I think, look at their match history. I'm trying to remember how far they got in Season 10. Or Season 11. Looks like a similar rank. Anyway, into the action we go. We'll see if the newbies can put one on the board here as they go into their defensive round. Have to start the comeback somewhere, and it takes a little coal in the fire to get things going. Section 1 setting up to look for an early pick onto Mao now if they're fortunate enough. Oh, and Hoochie completely exposed here. Section 1 is going to find that kill. An aggressive defensive position here. That's them 1. Can it get them 2? Mount almost identified through this slice that Section 1 has taken. More shots on the other side of the map. Short Undead. Section 1 does find Mount. Now there's a kill for Short Undead on the Mad Outdoors. Silent Purge getting completely shut down. The newbies having a great round here, one they really needed. They are now set up for a solid defensive hold. And I do say this, but Where is the defense? Looking at the overhead, very few actual lines onto the objective itself. Have to wonder if a potential cap is on the schedule here. Short Undead does not allow that from Don. Jason's going to put bullets in there as well to confirm that, and Sri Lankan is left alone. Looks like Silent Purge tried to push up for some sort of attack on the objective and couldn't get it, and Short Undead finds another onto Sri Lankan there. A complete shutdown on the offensive push. Silent Purge, or excuse me, the newbies still in this. They put one on the board here. Take us to our next round and our next objective. And you know, that objective, I would say the last two objectives, maybe 60-40 in terms of a Volk advantage. And so impressive that Silent Purge did manage to get a Marsoc win. But this next objective we go to, very rarely do I see capped, at least, by the offensive team. It is over in the northwest. And you know, on defense, there's a few different ways you can play this. And you can truly camp around objective on this particular OBJ. You really can get a nice kill box pretty tight around the objective space. Now, the counter to a tight kill box is to throw a good spread of utility. A nice dispersal of smoke on what you would guess to be certain locations for the defense. And if that guess is right, that's how you kind of disrupt a defense that is waiting for you to push towards the objective. If you can disrupt that kind of defense, it also does lead to potential for cap, as you are already close to the objective, considering the defense is close to the objective. And so there's that play style. There's also a bit more of an aggressive defensive option, where you can push out and go on the hunt for some early kills through windows. And so with a 3-1 lead, we'll see what Silent Purge do on defense as we go back into it for round number 5.
There isn't any
Somebody
custom
just
one,
opened in the
no?
street.
No customs. No customs.
That's
Yeah, they
weird.
took them out. No, they took all the customs.
That's what I was talking about with a little bit of aggression.
One dead, south.
Now able to catch McLocks from a distance there. Section 1 putting out suppressive fire through smoke. But the newbies now sort of halted up through the center as they lose one right away. The rest of the offense a bit concerned about Malino's position. And there may be... No, the angle is actually a little bit deeper there, as Malino is not pushed up close to the corner of the window. They are kind of taking the angle a little bit farther back, and I think that's what's throwing off the offense when they're trying to look for them here. Tort's going to take a little bit of cover and try and clear out these positions. Malino pushed out, took an aggressive early position, and then has since tucked back in. Everybody else on defense relatively close to objective, although they do have a few early lines. Sri Lankan in particular looking to catch some people deep down the street. It is a bit risky, as you do see Section 1 can also find an angle through that window. Sri Lankan overextends here. It's not going to be good. Sri Lankan also seemingly aware of the potential threat of that window, purposely not pushing out too far. Gucci may be catching into Mr. Shrimp here soon. And Malno now certainly their position given away as Short, Undead, and Jason likely to hear this. It's really a matter of inches right now, as everybody plays things quietly here.
Across the street, they know I'm in blue room. A little trap there.
Sri Lankan does peek out a little too far. Section 1 takes some shots, can't connect. Uchi able to get one. Pushing out from their position, Shrimp hasn't found the refrag yet, staying stealthed and quiet.
I just got one across the road.
Sri Lankan still not necessarily
He looked like he had an
comfortable
LMG to
pushing out.
Hooch.
Shrimp tries to stand up and catch Uchi through the window, but cannot. Uchi peeks just at the right time. Now several angles here. Onto Uchi as Short catches a great headshot. Tosses a flash up and over just to see if Malno is in that corner. But it is up to the duo here of the newbies to try and hang on. And this map number 1, the 2v4, not an insurmountable task by any means. Have to wait and see what this push looks like. 1.5 minutes left on the clock. And as the newbies find themselves in this position, they do have to be very cautious and patient. Short, hopefully not concerned about where that smoke came from, and as they check their tablet, should be aware it's a teammate. For those that don't know, the tablet acts as a kind of a mini-map. You have to pull it out to check it, but it does give you some information in terms of where your team generally is. A swing there on the corner. Malno actually in a bit of an off position. Pushed out to the front patio, not inside or down the hallway. Matt's going to catch Jason, trying pushing out onto the north side. And it is all up to Short
Last one's on me, Laminator.
alone. Malno knows the position. They've heard the footsteps. Short's going to try and find this angle onto Malno, but it is not going to be any easy line of sight, especially with Sri Lankan and Don with a bit of Overwatch. There's the kill coming in. Silent Purge put up a pretty solid map number 1, and, well, the community so far is accurate on their votes as they go up 4-1 on the newbies map pick. Now, where we go from here is the question: where do Silent Purge decide to take us? Both Abandon and Snow Peak are off of the playing field, and so you cannot pick into either of those maps. It leaves us with stuff like Quarantine, Suburbia, I think Tanker is in the rotation. I actually want to double check what that map pool is for the third rotation here, because I would believe, I imagine Silent Purge know what they're talking about when they say there's no custom maps in this rotation. One thing we have been doing is including custom maps in that map pool rotation. It's a really great way of us to kind of spice up the league and the variety in terms of map options. I love to see the custom maps getting picked and played. But not the case here for this series, as map number 2 takes us to Subway. A tried and true map, but one that does have quite a bit of variety to it. This is Silent Purge's map pick as well. And so I imagine they're going to be going for some aggressive plays on the hunt for some caps. It'll be interesting to see what the attacks look like for Silent Purge. I imagine... I don't really know. I feel like the offensive rounds for Silent Purge were close, but their defense, at least on Bazaar, was very solid. Several rounds where they had 4 or 5 alive on defense. It does make me wonder when you go to a map like Subway, which is completely different in terms of spacing and close quarters combat, what do we get from these teams? You know, we talk about objectives and how they favor the side as well. You know, there are some objectives on Subway that I would say are heavily favored towards the Marsoc side. Some that are heavily favored towards Volk, depending on how you defend it. And so there's definitely a bit more room for, I would say, volatility on a map like Subway. Although Bazaar does have its crazy objectives, we didn't really get any of those in that series. We didn't have an opportunity to go to a place like Kayat or the Humvee objective in the middle of the street. There's a few OBJs that are prone to good Marsoc pushes. Subway, I think, has a couple of, well, I guess also has its fair share of, you know, the variety there, but should be an exciting way to kick for map number 2 to see if the newbies can bounce back from a rough map 1. They did manage to get at least 1 point on the board, though, and so if anything, they got to kind of hold on to that. I do wonder if we are going to see a sub on the newbies as well. I think that is a substitute. Each team can have an active roster of up to 8 players in Onward. Although there is only 5 players in a lobby at a time, it is helpful to have a few extra that you know and trust and are rostered on your team. It is also important to practice and play with those subs in the case that you need to bring in a sub, let's say in the finals, because one of your key players is having a tech difficulty. If you then bring in a sub that has no experience playing with your team, it can be an element of surprise and throw off your overall strategy on both defense and offense, and defense in particular. And so, important to be able to bring subs in when you can. In some cases, subs are also brought in for specific maps in certain scenarios where that sub is an exceptional player on that particular map. And so I am looking here. I think Phantom Operator coming in round 2 here for Subway. And so maybe the newbies will be able to bounce back with a little bit of expertise of their own. A little fresh start for Phantom Operator as they jump into the series, and we get to see what the newbies do on defense as we hop into round number 1 of map 2.
If it's going on, I'll move. If it's going on, don't worry.
A bit of a slow spawn for Silent Purge. They won't be running into action right away. Especially with the route that they're taking. It's going to take some time for this trio to push all the way up to these stairs, push up the stairs, and then begin their approach. It will really allow the newbies to fully set up into their defensive positions, and we are going to want to stay on board. Section 1 getting very aggressive on their defensive setup, committing to 1 lane in the fork, which can be risky because if Matt takes the other lane, Section's not going to catch this out. Section's also going to continue their aggression and actually catch Matt. Off to the races. It seems also a disconnect on Silent Purge's end. The newbies are into a 5v3. Uchi able to fly the corner there. Glocks doesn't take any shots. No C4 detonated to down them. Nobody pushing up from the basement as Mr. Shrimp hears these footsteps above them. And it is a bit of a strange defense when you look at how aggressive the edges are with both Mr. Shrimp and now Section 1 pushing out and I think swinging up to the south stairs. Look at the overhead. You can see them on the bottom of the map there. Yeah, it looks like they're going to try and push up the south stairs. The attempt would be to go behind Don and Sri Lankan. Uchi pushing up here. Seismic Glocks. They go down, and now Don and Sri Lankan are pushing forward. There's only 2 on objective. As finally Mr. Shrimp pops up and trades with Hoochie. Sri Lankan slides the corner and catches one. Jason pulls the pistol and able to get Sri Lankan down before they punch in the code. They were looking for 2 right away. Section 1 crashing in the back. Confirms Hoochie and Sri Lankan. Don now pushing up. Trades with Jason, and Section 1, the last defender alive, able to take the round for the newbies. Certainly one way to start the defensive round. I guess exactly how Silent Purge started their defensive round, which ended up in them winning that series. If you recall, it came down to a 1v1 at the start of round 1. And so, well, maybe newbies trying a little bit of the Silent Purge formula. Let's see if they can go and snag a Marsoc round now, which is going to be a big test. Depending on the spawn, you can't have action very early on this objective in particular as well, and so it will be interesting to see where newbies pop in and how they approach the objective depending on that spawn. We also did talk about the sponsors earlier on in the broadcast and how they contribute into our growing prize pool of now $7,000 in cash and hardware. Those sponsors include VR Cover, providing great comfort to any VR headset. ProTube VR, offering fantastic mounts to your controllers to help stabilize your aim in-game. VRML, contributing to that prize pool to help grow and build the VR esports scene. HyperX, coming in with some fantastic HyperX Quadcast S mics, but also the Cloud 2 wireless headsets, amongst other prizes that they contribute into our prize pool. And I think that is it. We appreciate our sponsors very much. A big shout out to them. Check out their products. They should have, I think for HyperX, we have a coupon code VRMLHX. And for, I don't know if we have coupon codes yet for VR Cover. Anywho, check out the sponsors, but we got action here unfolding out in front of us for map number 2, round number 2. Already a kill up on that north side from Don Patron.
Spawn mid, the rest might have rotated.
Sending 2 into the basement, 1 up to the catwalk, who could be running into Sri Lankan soon, but like I was explaining earlier, depending on which split you take, you could end up missing the attack. And Sri Lankan went the left side, section 1 down to the right. As long as section 1 stays quiet, Sri Lankan is going to have a hard time knowing about this. And there is potential for them then to maybe grab an elbow. Section 1 does have to check behind them as they push forward, though. As they should, an expectation that someone could be on the other side. We'll have to come back to this as the duo is trying to work their way up the stairs. They'll be pushing out into Hoochie's defensive position soon enough. Also could be a C4 potentially placed. But we'll split the attention between the slow-moving push from the newbies here, the methodical push-up. Section 1 does stand now. Are they going to go for that fast swing? They do. They look for Sri Lankan and they catch them there.
-1.
patiently waiting. A great play to net them a kill. Hoochie now slowly working their way forward here. They catch the elbow of Phantom. Mr. Shrimp is still there, though, and I wonder if Hoochie's going to be ready for a second in that alleyway, because if they're not, Mr. Shrimp could peek up here and catch the back of Hoochie. And as I say that, Hoochie ducks back in. C4 detonated. Jason able to nade Mad Outdoors, it seems, in that tight corner. Matt getting completely stuck in the wall. Shrimp and Hoochie trade on the side, so it leaves us with this 2v2 down this main lane. Jason in section 1. Eventually we'll have to push down here, and as Malno gets aggressive, this could be bad news. Section 1 catches out the over-aggression from Malno. The newbies now in a 2v1. Finally, Jason able to confirm Mad Outdoors that they had really gotten lodged into the wall, and Don's going to try their hand at a bit of a shooting challenge onto the corner. Quick drop back, and well, that's what Don has to do. They have to really play a bit hectic and chaotically because they don't know where they don't know that Mr. Shrimp is down. So they could be getting hit from a flank. They have to watch the front for a cap. The newbies start the series just like map number 1, except in reverse as they go up now 2-0 on map number 2. Silent Purge's map pick. I don't know. I'm certainly impressed, to say the least. It seems like Silent Purge may be getting a bit overconfident on their pushes in those streets. I mean, Dawn in particular trying to go up for those kills, ending up costing them their life. I don't know. We now go to our next objective down in the basement. I'm just taking a quick look at the stats here to see where we could be headed for map number 3. This will be the newbies map pick if the series heads there, and their best map, interestingly enough, is Subway. Also, Silent Purge is the best map, so 80% win rate compared to a 60% win rate with Silent Purge with that 80%. Their next most successful map, actually their best map is Suburbia, so maybe map 3 takes us to Suburbia. Obviously, we're not quite there yet. We have several more rounds to play out here on Subway as we go into the action for round number 3. Objective changes location and goes to a place that I feel is a bit more favored towards the defense side. Oh, we're going to get some action very early. And right here, Jason and Shrimp trade. Julotkin flies out, and Shrimp almost not ready for the double push out the stairway. Shrimp using that dark corner to blend in and surprise the offense. Silent Purge getting completely shut down. Their aggression being countered nicely as the newbies throw up a couple of defenders to the upstairs. Oftentimes, it is not the case where the defense will extend this far forward on this objective. But everybody on the newbies is nowhere near the objective that is underground in the basement. They only have one defender here to hold from a cap, and well, it's all they needed as Don now works through the basement alone in a 1v4 the newbies are set up to take this to a 3-0 and be at map point next round. We really could see a reverse. Yes, there's Don downed, trying to flash, but Shrimp was a bit closer than Don was expecting. The newbies are up 3-0 right now. The underdogs of this series by a pretty significant margin are managing to get very close to taking a map. Now, of course, it is not secure yet. You know, when you think about either of these teams, at the level that they are at, coming back from a 3-0 deficit is not impossible. And you think about Silent Purge, they've had kind of a tough couple of rounds here on their best map, and I'm sure they're going to try and change things up a little bit, shift the strategy, adjust the pacing, maybe try and slow things down a bit because they have been playing pretty quick and aggressive. This objective really does allow Silent Purge to do that. It allows them to slow things up a bit and let the offense come to them. They don't have to push up and get aggressive, albeit we did just see that aggression work out very well for the newbies. And so, again, the rock, paper, scissors of how do we defend, how do we attack, how is our opponent going to defend or attack. It is so much processing that goes on. It's why we have these minute and a half between rounds so that teams can strategize. For those that don't know, there's a whiteboard inside a lobby that shows the map, and a team can draw and share their drawings of that on that map, so you can really draw out plans and strategies as a team before going into the next round. We'll have to see what the newbies drew out and planned as we go in to map point for map number 2, round 4.
Watch the flank on the overpass as well. While you guys push.
We are seeing a bit of counter aggression on the defense, but they're not investing anything in to the stairwell entry point. And so the 4 that are pushing in from this stair are going to have pretty uncontested movement. Sri Lankan blending in here, not gonna be able to catch Phantom on the initial corner, but Phantom did not see Sri Lankan. Oh, and Phantom doesn't get tagged. Sri Lankan not able to hit those shots. They're going to try and get aggressive on Phantom here, and that doesn't work out. Phantom shuts it down. Newbies are up 5v4, and they've got one of 2 defenders on this top floor. Malno is really the only other one, as they are holding from that stairway angle and can check a couple of different spots up on this top floor. Everybody else is in the basement on the Silent Purge defense, which, like I said, I think is the proper defensive setup, but there's very few around objective. Don Patron in particular is extended into the basement. It is an interesting position for Don to be in because they can be an element that plays aggressively if they want. While they are protecting the basement, they can also push forward, go upstairs, hit the back of the newbies right when they're least expecting it. And it seems that that's actually what Phantom is defending against. Or should be soon enough, but really nobody has eyes on this back stairwell anymore. I'll try and find one of the stairs. Going to be a risky position to re-peek and try and hold now.
Don't leave that guy alone.
And that's Malno no longer a threat to this top floor.
I'm still here.
All 5 of the newbies still up.
Someone's got basement, yeah.
And they can take control of this top floor entirely now.
Yeah, there's a few.
Set up for their entry on the stairs. Hit it from both sides. Maybe stack the objective side a little bit heavier, because that certainly would lead into a... Well, so essentially a lone Malno. Hoochie does have a line onto objective from their position in the... on the train tracks.
Look for C4 stuff upstairs.
But there's a lot of time. 2.5 on the clock. The newbies
Just stay out of sight.
can clear out any C4 placements. They can really make sure that their entries down the stairs are safe. And then push. Granted, they don't have a ton of time. Coming up on only 2 minutes left. They're going to have to start to do this work shortly. Really, with their setup, all they truly need is 30 seconds, though, because they can essentially push down to the objective within, with where McLaughlin's section are, 5 to 10 seconds. So they don't really need 2 minutes. It can certainly allow this clock to tick down. Especially looking at a potential map point here. They have a 5-4 advantage. They just do not want to put any missteps right now. We're just waiting on Hoochie's position, as it seems like it could be one of the earlier defensive angles to find some action. There's a smoke. I don't think Hoochie can see over the top of that. Other smoke coming in. Really confirming no vision down this stairwell. And it does have the attention of 2 here, both Hoochie and Matt. Don's still in the basement, and Malno kind of alone on the coverage on the objective stair, while 3 are stacked up to make their entry. Phantom finally comes down. Hoochie able to find that kill. Section 1 now making his way down the stairs. Malno completely blind. What a great counter flash. Oh my goodness. Completely shuts down the trio from pushing in. And albeit with only 30 seconds left, McGlock goes down on the other stales. Now the trio tries to come out, and they successfully find 1. Gucci has shots down here, and everybody's rotating back as Matt comes crashing in. Shrimp heals themselves and swings the corner. Don finds 1 from a distance. Shrimp has tablet out as Don tries to crash in. Can Shrimp get the cap in time? They can! What a play, newbies! Take map 2, 5-0. The underdogs in this series by a massive margin, according to the community, actually have the lead in the series overall. Total points 6-4. As we go to their map pick for map number 3. Wow. What a turnaround. It seemed like Silent Purge, I don't know if they got lazy, but just suffered early kills. They got not lazy, over aggressive. And man, those, wow. Really nicely done on the attack, and Silent Purge just not set up to defend against that approach. What a great job from that team. An interesting pick for map number 3, taking us to kind of an equalizer, in my opinion, going to Quarantine. Quarantine is a map that has, well, just an abundance of variety. Close range, long range, medium range, all present. You can certainly snipe with the 12 times on this map if you do so choose. There's also upwards of 14 potential objective spawns. Obviously, you don't play that many objectives. You can only play 4 objectives total in a series. And so you really don't even know where the objective is going to be placed, where you're going to be defending or attacking from. It's a really fun competitive map. I really do like it a lot because of all the variety. You always get something different when you tune into a quarantine series. And I say this knowing that we do get a north objective spawn, which was the exact same placement as the first objective on quarantine yesterday on Horizon Venue. So I know that may seem inaccurate, if you will, but I assure you that this map is the true test of a team. Your map knowledge really has to be extensive for you to be able to confidently take away a quarantine W. If anything, I anticipate this final map to actually be a bit of a trading down in rounds. We could be headed to a round 7 series decider. Although, let's take a look at the stats. Granted, the stats have been wrong already today. Quarantine from the newbies, only a 50% win rate so far this season, but one of their most played maps 10 times so far this season. That's almost every series they play quarantine. Go ahead and look at Silent Purge and Quarantine, their second most played map, but also a similar win rate, 50% this season. I don't know what this pick, like I said, I feel like this pick is probably the closest, most even matched in terms of win rate
I'm still gonna hold it, but I'll just
with these teams. We are diving into the action. Round number 1 of map 3. Tell your friends, Silent Purge, the newbies, they're battling it out for the series decider right now. I cannot believe a 5-0 was secured there on map number 2, but it has. And Quarantine is where we figure out which one of these teams is going to come out on top. A huge opportunity for the newbies to secure a big W. Conversely, Silent Purge do not want to lose this. They are right up there in the, I think, 6th place worldwide. And oh, they missed. But Jason and Shrimp both crossing. Right as they check, it's a bit too late. Cuts there from short undead up onto Matt's position. Matt with a nice quick peek, able to find short there, trying to get aggressive. Jason not able to find the line, and so Matt safe and sound with 1 kill in their pocket. Albeit Jason and Mr. Shrimp are on a long rotation now. Wonder if Matt is going to be identified here by Shrimp and Jason on their rotation. Say that 10 times fast. Phantom and Section 1 working up through the middle. Matt really the first sort of point of attack for the defense. Hoochie also here in the basement, excuse me, the first floor of this building, but they're not watching this west side. Nobody really is, except for Sri Lankan. Jason has now made it inside, and this could be where things get a little bit spicy as Hoochie is waiting for potential push-up. They're guarding both the underground entry, but also the walkway up to Mad Outdoors. Oh, and Jason actually finds an angle, pops up on a small little ramp there, flies onto Hoochie, but Hoochie ready for Jason. Nails that kill. Shrimp says, okay, well, I know there's one over there. I'm not going to worry about them. Tries to push forward. Sri
One
Lankan,
down, back
however,
here. I don't
ready
know how
and
many else we
waiting.
got down, 2 or 3.
And the west approach denied successfully. Now up to Section 1 and Phantom, and Section 1 on the opposite side of things, trying to push in from the east. We have to stay split here, as Phantom is also very close to pushing up onto Hoochie here in the corner. There it is. Hoochie finds the kill. Section 1 now alone in a 1v4, but not a ton of on-objective defense here. Does Malno have vision? Does anybody? Yeah, they do. Malno is watching, and if Malno wasn't, there was a potential threat of walking right up to the objective, but 2.5 minutes left in Silent Purge. Lock in their defensive round, up 1-0. Now, not unexpected. I anticipate Quarantine in particular to have a little bit less volatility like we saw on Subway. I think we're going to see a little bit more slowed down and methodical play style here in this map in particular, but also because it's that map 3 decider right now, so a lot on the line. Teams tend to kind of shift their play style up, sometimes detrimentally when the pressure is on. Clearly the newbies, I feel like trying something different there. Not necessarily their slow, or not, I wouldn't say slow, but their methodical pacing, where they weren't pushing even on Subway until about a minute left on the clock. Still 2.5 left, and everybody had died. I think their first death coming in pretty early as they tried to work up over onto that west side. So maybe just the objective placement, their spawn, whatever it was, threw off the overall pacing of the newbies here. And Silent Purge, just like that, are able to get back into this series. Put one on the board after 5 unanswered points. And now try their hand at attack as we go into round number 2 of map 3.
Whatever, we still won. Just try and concentrate on this map, boys.
Short, Jason, and Shrimp all looking for the quick spawn down in the crater, but it's actually almost the opposite of that. It's a bit of the slow spawn down into the south. The full force of Silent Purge setting up and looking out onto this 2-story. Trying to get any sort of perspective down into the objective, but interesting to look at this newbies defense, taking a look at the overhead really to give us a good idea of where their priorities are. There's no early lines at all. Essentially, Silent Purge will be allowed to push up to that rooftop uncontested. They may be able to actually get rooftop control uncontested. Phantom doesn't have an angle onto anybody that would go up there from the center. They have one on a very wide flank. For who it is way over there. It looks like Mr. Shrimp. This is a risky play to have a defender so far away from objective. You can become very vulnerable to a cap. Especially if the offense doesn't end up pushing into this side. Although, as I say, that looks like there's a couple rotating over towards this angle. And with Shrimp being here, they are certain to find at least one unsuspecting. Ooh, but I don't know about this. This may be over-aggression. Working their way up now, completely out in the open. Dawn gonna be seeing this soon enough, and the first kill scooped up here.
Did you try to finish him off, you bastard?
No.
A little chuckle there coming in. You can down the body, but there isn't... Well, I guess it's an assist. If you down the body and then an opponent confirms it, or your teammate confirms it. Opponent, in this case, your teammate confirms the kill. Your teammate actually gets the kill on the stat board. And so they're chuckling because Don downed the player, and then Sri Lankan tried to confirm the player by shooting that dead body to see if they would get that kill on the KD. But Don had that full kill right out the gate, so no confirm necessary, and Don gets the rightful point. Still, though, now the newbies in a 4v5 on defense. Section 1 no longer near the objective space, and if they rotate up, they could be at risk of getting caught out. They could also potentially find one or two trying to cross this street, depending on their timing. It all is that onward timing. Able to successfully push up here. Section 1 peeking a little bit too late. No, just in time. Able to catch out one. Matt looking for any line of sight through the porthole, but not finding anything. Plain window, I suppose. Not a subway. Nice shot there from the MCX. Fully auto from a distance. Not an easy kill to make, but Malno locks it in. Silent Purge start making their moves up towards the objective. Dawn goes down. A big pickup from short. Disrupts the overall approach from Silent Purge here now. They don't necessarily have that element to push in from the street and disrupt Short's positioning. Short could catch Sri Lankan if Sri Lankan's not careful, as well, as they aren't pushing up from the standard far north alleyway. They also have Jason on objective. Oh, what a great turn from Short to catch Mauno. Also blended in. Mauno probably didn't even see Short against this dumpster here. Dark on dark coloring, making it hard to identify. Sri Lankan still alive and well by the Humvee, though. They're going to start to push up. Jason should hear these footsteps. They turn fast enough, they don't. Sri Lankan finds the kill. Short Undead has the gun up. They'll get the refrag. Shots over from Phantom towards Matt. And the newbies put up a solid defensive round themselves. Able to shut down entry from all points. Tie this thing up one apiece on map number 3. Next objective takes us over to the far west. This one I do feel favors the defense a bit more as well, and so I would anticipate us trading defensive rounds here. It'll be a defensive misstep if either of the Marsoc teams are able to snag a W on this objective. At least that, in my opinion. It certainly can be capped, and with the right utility and distractions, a cap is not out of the question. But I don't know. I feel like there's so many options for defense, so many different ways you can set up late or early, trying to go for picks. I just seen it so rarely successfully attacked, so my opinions come from maybe over 1,000 hours of watching Onward as well, so I don't know. Take what you will. Into the action we go for round number 3. Let's see what the newbies throw out there on the attack. Silent Purge back on defense. We change objectives, as mentioned, and swap sides. Oh, and a uncontested street cross. Sometimes you'll see suppressive fire down this lane just to deny that option, but
We gotta wait for Shrimp. He's gonna be a while.
3 managed to cross the street uncontested. Pushing in from the south, Jason up through the hole in the middle, and eventually, well, gonna be a bit of time before newbies run into anything because Silent Purge have set up on some late angles. Uchi actually on a bit of a hunt up through the middle, but Malino's position seems very risky. I'm curious as to why they're set up here. What the advantage is. Because even maybe just to be off meta. But this position, they're so clearly visible. That's the real trouble of it. If they were even back in this shadow, it would add a significant amount of camouflage to their position, but they're like out there in the up against the white wall, the you know, and I guess not really, it's not really white, is it? More of a beige. The yellow, I don't know.
I leaned against my trigger, sorry.
Matt taking some unintentional shots. They're prone in real life. And so their hand just leaned against the ground and they ended up pulling the trigger there. Matt's position in particular, though, is a very good late angle, hard to uproot. This whole defense is going to be hard to uproot. I just don't know how the newbies are going to approach it. And it gets, again, this objective very hard to approach because there's so much ground to cover. It's way over on the west side. Probably won't see anything until around 2 minutes, which is pretty par for the course for the newbies' offense anyway. Or at least what we've seen so far. Slowly working their way up through the midfield. Again, not going to run into really any resistance until it comes time to push up to the objective space. Takes a lot of patience to put up a defense like this. A lot of patience on offense, too, to play it so methodically and not utilize any smokes or anything on any crosses. They haven't given away any information. This may be the first bit of action we see as Jason works up to the second floor, may be able to ID Malno.
Center burning clear.
Center burning is clear.
And actually, I think
Sorry,
maybe that's
hold your
why
marker up.
Malno was initially set up on this position, so they can catch this tight angle up onto the second floor. Still, though, I think they can do it back from the shadow, so I don't know. Shrimp managing to work up very close here to Malno's corner, and there's Malno's position. Identified, short undead. Took a lot of shots, but finally did connect. Shrimp gets past one
Sees me, they're pushing from mid.
defender. There's another on objective defense, suddenly sparse. Matt Outdoors has the line, though, and that's an LMG, so a lot of bullets going to be coming down towards Shrimp's position. Short undead swings and catches Stream Lock, and Hoochie finally comes alive and finds a kill, and now Uchi pushing up to try and get the res onto Sri Lankan and can't. Sri Lankan gets downed and confirmed. Uchi has to drop back behind cover just in time while the rest of the offense comes crashing in. Jason, Matt, everybody finding kills. Silent Purge down to just 1. Newbies down to just 2. Phantom identified. Matt has to watch both sides. They seem aware of this as they jump up to the second story, getting a new angle onto Phantom. Down goes Phantom. Section 1 now, the last attacker. The reload doesn't come in fast enough from Matt Outdoors. A Marsoc win for the newbies on an objective that is hard to get a Marsoc W on. 12 seconds left in the round. Wow, what is happening? Newbies have a 2-1 lead against Silent Purge right now. Silent Purge, again, they do not want this loss. If they go down to the newbies, it will be a significant blow to their rank. And where they're currently positioned as 6th place worldwide, it may well bump them out of the top 8. This late in the season, it's the last thing you want when you have to vie and compete for every win to try and get up into that top 8. And so, again, a big map 3 here for both teams as the newbies are looking at a big game if they come out of a W here, and potentially even bigger depending on how many rounds they can get in this final map to go 5-0 and lose the first one 4-1. I mean, again, their overall scoreline now in particular is pretty dang good. 8-5, excuse me, overall. Of course, we're not done with map number 3. We're really just kind of getting started. As the newbies now have to defend our first Marsoc round secured on quarantine, we'll have to see if Silent Purge can put up a similar attack as we go into it for round number 4.
Is anyone
very different spawn.
Some picks?
Very different spawn. Silent Purge are going to be on this objective much faster, which should work out for how quickly they've been playing on Marsoc anyway. So this very well could be a Marsoc round. Jason should have heard Matt with those footsteps. And I did hear something come out of their mouth, so might have been a call out that the spawn was on this north side. Either way, an interesting defensive spread, very different from what we saw coming in from Silent Purge. I think Mr. Shrimp has the kind of final line onto the objective, but a little bit of me wonders if there's an opportunity for Matt to just kind of secretly crawl up to the objective here. I don't think it's possible. You have both Phantom and Shrimp here. But Phantom isn't looking to their left, nor will they be able to see over the crates. And Shrimp... they're not watching anything. I suppose they do have a very late look at the objective, but there's just a strange route to be taken. Or I feel if Phantom isn't covering the objective. I don't know. Obviously, we have the bird's eye view as well, and so the opposing team not able to see this gap, nor is Silent Purge. For Matt to push to that objective like that would take a big gamble, essentially. Sword Undead kicks off the round for newbies with a kill.
One didn't burn it.
See if Hoochie can root out short here. Matt is looking for the angle. I think they'll find it. Jason and Don also could run into each other soon enough. Slow push up here from Hoochie. May be able to catch short. Oh, and yes, there it is. The trade on the corner opens up the burning building, allows for Mauno and Don to push up through that side if they choose. And meanwhile, still here, Jason goes down. Don able to find that kill. A big pickup. Really frees up this west side as they now don't have to worry about a potential flank. Matt can push up to the objective. Shrimp now has their line over to the objective side, as does Phantom up onto Matt's position, and so the 3v3 begins to unfold.
We still have the crossed objective covered, right?
Oh, and Matt could get a line here onto Phantom.
Red smoke over plane from impact building, potentially.
Smoke on the corner will help Don a little bit. It is really just these two defending, though. Section 1 can turn and look, but Phantom is going to have to hold this approach as both Mauno is right here on the corner. They try and slide. Matt's right there as well, and now they know Phantom's in the corner. Section 1 pops back up, has an eye over towards the objective side. Matt's managed to make it up to the objective. Tablet comes out, and the newbies find their kills. Matt and Don both die in what was almost a cap as the tablet was out with only 2 seconds left. I don't think they had the time, and the newbies find their kills and go up 3-1. They are a point away from taking this series out from underneath Silent Purge in what was looking to be a potential uh-oh as Silent Purge started things in dominant fashion 4-1. It then sort of spiraled out of control. Subway going handily to the newbies, and now Quarantine with a 3-1 lead. The newbies are looking at a potential series point. They obviously have to attack, and we do change objectives, so there's an opportunity for this objective to be a little bit easier to approach, and it is center burning building. If we're going to talk about objectives that I've seen capped on Quarantine, this is one that I have seen picked up several times. So it should be exciting to see how the approach comes through here. But Also an objective I feel I haven't seen in League play in a long while. I don't know. Maybe it's just because Quarantine, again, has that variety. You sometimes just don't see objectives for a long time. But still, an interesting, what could be final objective here. As we go back into the action, round number 5 kicks off here. And we'll have to see what Silent Purge put up on the defense.
Oh, yeah, okay.
As their backs are against
Okay, nobody
the
in
wall.
ambulance? Hospital?
North spawn as well for newbies. A fast spawn, but that may actually not play well for the newbies, as they have been playing things a little bit more methodical on their approaches. Dawn's not going to overcommit to any aggression, at least up through the center. Sometimes you'll see the defense just kind of go for the fight. They do commit to the west, though. Could catch them a kill or two, or could catch them dead, as Section 1 almost seems to be waiting for this. Dawn takes shots and then drops off wisely as Section 1 and a couple of other eyes are looking down this alleyway now. Maybe that's the intention, though. The rest of the team works their way up towards the center.
Yeah, there's one downstairs, a center burning.
Have an interesting spread as well from this defense as Matt extended out pretty far. They're at a point where if they were to stand, they may be able to find one or two. Oh, and that's a couple of great flashes. Jason fully blind in the corner. Matt won't be able to see Jason tucked in. They will be able to see up through the gap, though. Short undead goes down. Jason can't connect with Matt, and it ends in a trade.
Got the flanker on down, Rose Ball. Yeah, fuck it.
Jason is resable. Dawn finds another kill on the other side. Phantom is suddenly alone in a 1v4 with what seems to be a res on the way. Nobody here left, though. Phantom in a very tough spot. Oh, no, a team kill. As Malno was going for the res, Uchi finds the kill on the Malno. There are 3 invested in this chaos as Jason tries to call this out. Matt is able to get the res. Phantom does catch that kill.
He's behind the cargo crate, just around that corner.
Now Hoochie and Malno are on the assault, though, and Malno has a good idea of where Phantom is. Hoochie putting out the good call-outs. Phantom trying to use utility to get out of this situation, but I think that smoke goes a little bit too far. And everybody else does rotate off, and so Phantom lives a few minutes longer. Wow, a kill on the Dawn, a two-piece now. And they cannot catch Hoochie. That was the big question. Phantom goes down as Silent Purge put up a defensive W. They are not done with this thing yet. The coal is in the fire now, and the train begins to chug. Silent Purge hopping aboard the comeback train here, trying to get themselves back into this series. They're going to have to snag a Marsoc win, and like I said, this objective, one of the few on Quarantine that actually is capable, depending on your approach, if you don't get flanked. And if you play it quick or slow, there's all sorts of options. Just a matter of getting the smokes up to this wall and getting up to the wall. And that becomes the true task. So there is an option here where Silent Purge could actually swing this. And the newbies have to be super cautious. There isn't really much room for over-aggression or mistakes right now. Because it is such a big opportunity for this newbies team. They're not going to be put into a scenario often. Maybe they will, depending on, if they keep playing like this, where they will be able to take wins against teams that are, according to the rankings, more skilled. So I don't know. Silent Purge don't get the fast spawn. They get that slow spawn way over on the opposite side of the map.
You guys get to the left.
Yeah, you could actually consider this a fast spawn, though, because you can just sprint up the middle, which is, I imagine, what we'll see most of Silent Purge doing.
One cross. One
We're left?
hospital. Yeah, and they saw us.
They watch the
Yeah, so
streets.
they saw us all. Fuck.
Yeah.
They're gonna kill us if we go that way. Somebody's gotta watch ambulance. He's gonna be downstairs waiting for us. We will not see these guys downstairs. Hey, buddy.
And you can hear the concern in the offense as they assume they're identified. They anticipate one to be in the basement. Section 1, however, is not in the basement. They are positioned on this top floor,
He's gonna double tap me.
and they're waiting for Sri Lankan and Don to push up.
Call me out. He's upstairs. He's upstairs on the mid. My tank.
No worry about that.
It's an important position for Section 1 to be in as well, because it's actually quite a disruption to the offense. They have to get rid of Section 1 before they can even consider their approach to objective, because Matt can't peek up from the basement. Sri Lankan can't push up from the top floor. And off the smoke, Section 1 moves, but Sri Lankan hears the footsteps, trying to call out all this information to the team.
Don, what are you doing, bro? We're at 97422.
Oh, and Section 1 wins that trade, throws the counter aggression at him. Able to catch one. Mauno now in the basement has to be worried about a flank. Because of that, they completely drop off. And Silent Purge find themselves in a kind of an awkward spot with Section 1 with control of the middle building. And again, Matt can't really comfortably exit an approach without Section 1 gone. Albeit Section 1 now has no eyes on the mat. And I wonder if anybody does. Bantam. But there's a route. Section 1 doesn't catch him out for Matt to just push up.
One down, AC.
Jason gets rid of Hooch on the top of the rooftop. Short Undead was also there to potentially pop up and find that kill, but everybody else now focused into the center or the south. And the trouble is that if they also try and push, they are concerned about the lack of covers they have up on that hilltop. Section 1 still up in the middle here, has extended a bit further up through the alleyway, and it actually again leaves the coverage up through the center a little weak. Phantom is here. Does seem to be checking up through the center from time to time. But what a terrible way to lose this series if Malno pushes up for a cap against the wall. Nobody has eyes. Oh, Jason might, however. Big flank here from Jason could pay off. Malno completely out in the open on this street. Jason actually catches Matt first. Oh, no, that's a nice pickup.
Echo 2.
Malno now still way out in the open. Should be up next. They can't win the fight. Malno finds the kills. We're into a 4v2, but it feels like almost a 1v1 now as Malno still has a route. We have to go over to Don, who goes down to Mr. Shrimp. And so it is all up to this push from Malno, who has to try and work their way up through the center. Short Undead doesn't spot this. Section 1 doesn't see this. The smoke comes out.
Smoke from AC court.
Callouts there. Malno's pushing in off of the smoke toss. Short Undead's working up from the back. Malno doesn't have a lot of time before there's a few different eyes on their position as Short now isn't looking, almost gets team killed.
I'm on AC. There's a guy in North Korea. That's me, that's
Oh, and there's the trade. Phantom finds the kill. The newbies come out on top against Silent Purge. The underdogs by a large margin, according to the community. And they take a series win with a total scoreline of 10-6 against Silent Purge. They're going to be going up a nice chunk in rank, and that is the underdogs, the newbies, taking the victory here in this afternoon's venues showcase. Wow. What an exciting matchup to tune into. Thank you so much to everybody that was stopping by, whether you're on twitch.tv/VRMasterLeague, over on our Meta/Facebook page, or on YouTube or Horizon Venues. We really do appreciate you all hanging out and catching the action here this afternoon. But that will be it for us. We obviously do have Echo Arena later on today, so be sure to stop back here on Horizon Venues for more VRML action. But we are done with Onward for the weekend. Be sure to follow the other channels over on twitch.tv/onward_VRMLs 2 and 3 as well. We have 3 channels that we are active on this season. If you do want to catch more Onward action. Otherwise, head on over to VRML.com to see when the next matchup will be coming up, as we are certain to have some great games the back half of Season 12. That's going to be it for me here at the desk, though. My name has been Nightfire with 2 E's. Until next time, stay classy.